I really don't know how to talk about this. It's really an incredibly sad story and depressing and outrageous. And I think many of you are probably aware that over the weekend, Aaron Swartz died of suicide at age 26. I knew Aaron not well. I met him through a mutual friend. He was producing as one of the many, many, many things that he was involved in. He was helping to produce a podcast Ben Wickler had done. That I think it's the Flaming Sword of Justice. So they used our office, and we helped them out with the technology to the extent that they needed help from us. He really is was an amazing individual who, at age 14, helped develop RSS, the really simple syndication. It's a web protocol. He was one of the guys who built Reddit, or he had a company that got folded into it. He founded Demand Progress. He was part of the PCCC. He was a big part of the Stop SOPA battle that was waged. I mean, this is just a fraction of what he did in his short 26 years. He developed the architecture for the Creative Commons licensing system. He was under intense pressure from the U.S. government and was facing a trial to put him in prison for up to 35 years and millions of dollars worth of fines for what amounted to more or less a trespass, moving freely available academic journals into a more freely available database. You can read in other places, and maybe as the show continues or this week we will address the specific charges, but you can read just about anywhere. We'll put a series of links of people from Cory Doctorow to Lawrence Lessig, Glenn Greenwald, Matt Stoller. I mean, others, countless numbers of people have written about him and what he was subjected to. One piece that Matt Stoller wrote, who was pretty friendly with him, I think is really is an important piece, and I want to read probably more of it than I normally would. I mean, it's really heartbreaking. This whole thing is it's just heartbreaking. He was a very sweet guy. I didn't know him that well, but just from the time that I spent with him a couple hours in this office and a lunch or two, was just just an incredibly soft-spoken, impressive individual. Let me read just a little bit from what Matt Stoller wrote, and I encourage you to read the whole thing and to follow the links, and because this guy was a very impressive individual, and it's just heartbreaking. Matt Stoller wrote, "Aaron Swartz was my friend. I will always miss him. I think it's important that as we remember him, we remember that Aaron had a much broader agenda than the information freedom fights for which he had become known. Most people have focused on Aaron's work as an advocate for more open information systems because that's what the feds went after him for, or because he's well understood as a technologist who founded Reddit and invented RSS. But I knew a different side of him. I knew Aaron as a political activist interested in healthcare, financial corruption, and the drug war. We were working on a project on that just before he died. He was a great technologist for sure, but when we were working together, that was not all I saw. He goes on, he was driven by a desire for justice and not just for open information. He wanted to end the drug war. He wanted a financial system not dominated by Bob Rubin, and he wanted monetary policy run to help ordinary people. Aaron believed passionately in the scientific method as his guide for organizing our society. In that open-minded but powerful critique, he was a technocratic liberal. His leanings sometimes moved him towards more radical postures because he recognized that our governing institutions had become malevolent, but he was not an anarchist. Now, you should know that he suffered from depression, and Stoller cites a statement from Swartz's family and partner. Aaron's death is not simply a personal tragedy. It's the product of a criminal justice system rife with intimidation and prosecutorial overreach. Decisions made by officials in the Massachusetts U.S. Attorney's Office and at MIT contributed to his death. The U.S. Attorney's Office pursued an exceptionally harsh array of charges, carrying potentially over 30 years in prison to punish an alleged crime that had no victims. Meanwhile, unlike JSTOR, MIT refused to stand up for Aaron in its own community's most cherished principles. JSTOR, incidentally, dropped charges, dropped any civil actions, said that they were fine. They had settled, essentially, with Aaron, and had released just this month over 4 million of those documents for public access. Stoller says, I want to make a few points about why it's not just sad that he's gone, but a tragedy, a symbol for all of us and a call to action. Aaron suffered from depression, but that's not why he died. Aaron is dead because the institutions that govern our society have decided that it's more important to target geniuses like Aaron than to nurture them. Because the values he sought, openness, justice, curiosity, are values these institutions now oppose. In previous generations, people like Aaron would have been treasured and recognized as the remarkable gifts as they are. We do not live in a world like that today, and Aaron would be the first to point it out. If he could observe the discussion happening now, that the pressure he felt from the oppressive government is felt by millions of people every year. I'm glad his family have not let the justice system off the hook and have not allowed his suicide to be medicalized or the fault of one prosecutor. What happened to Aaron is not isolated to Aaron, but it's the flip side of corruption he hated. What killed him was corruption. Corruption isn't just people profiting from betraying the public interest. It's also people being punished for upholding the public interest. In our institutions of power, when you do the right thing and challenge abuse of power, you end up destroying a job prospect, an economic opportunity, a political or social connection, or an opportunity for media. If you are truly dangerous and brilliant subversive, as Aaron was, you are bankrupt and destroyed. There's a reason whistleblowers get fired. There's a reason Bradley Manning is in jail. There's a reason the only CIA official who's gone to jail for torture is the person, John Kirikow, who told the world that it was going on. There's a reason those who destroy the financial system dine at the White House, as Lawrence Lessig put it. There's a reason former Senator Russ Feingold is a college professor, whereas Senator Chris Dodd is now a multimillionaire. There's a reason DOJ officials do not go after bankers who illegally foreclose and then get jobs as partners in white-collar criminal defense. There's a reason no one has been held accountable for decisions leading to the financial crisis or the war in Iraq. This reason is the modern ethic in American society that defines success as climbing up the ladder, consequences be damned. Corrupt self-interest, when it goes system-wide, demands that it protects renters from people like Aaron, that it intimidate, co-opt, humiliate, fire, destroy, and or bankrupt those who stand for justice. In 6 days, on January 18th, it's the one-year anniversary of the blackout of Wikipedia, and some have discussed celebrating it as Internet Freedom Day. Maybe we should call this Aaron Swartz Day in honor of this heroic figure. While what happened that day was technically about the Internet, it should be remembered, and Aaron should be remembered in the context of social justice. That day was about a call for a different world, not just protecting our ability to access websites. We should remember these underlying values. It would help people understand that justice can be extremely costly and that we risk much when we allow those who do the right thing to be punished. Somehow we need to rebuild a culture that respects people like Aaron and turns away from the greed and rent extraction that he hated. What I do know is that if we are to honor Aaron's life, we will recognize him as a broad social justice activist who cared about transforming our society and acted to do so. we will take up his fight as our own.